October 29th work session. At this time, I'd like to ask Commissioner McCoy if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and turn.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we come before you this morning, just giving thanks for your many blessings and your mercy and grace. We ask you to continue to bless us. Bless this board, bless the members of this board. Give us the knowledge, the wisdom, and the patience to be able to make the right decisions for this county and not for us. Lord, I know it's a praying time. I'm asking for prayer for this country. And let us have more love for one another, regardless of who you are. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Item number 3, discuss a request to approve an agreement with Southeastern Aero LLC to operate aviation services organization to provide maintenance activities at Hornet Regional Airport. Mr. Frank, come forward, please.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Harnett Regional Jetport requests that you consider and approve a Special Aviation Service Organization Agreement for Southeastern Aero to provide repair and customer maintenance and repair to customers based on the field as well as transient customers. The Jetport Board has made a recommendation to change the 5-year SASO agreement to a 3-year SASO agreement, and I agree. In speaking with the legal department, a 3-year SASO agreement gives us more consistency and flexibility at HRJ.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Frank? Hearing none, I have a couple.
Sir.
Your contract, what does it take to terminate the contract if necessary?
As far as I'm aware, in speaking with the legal department, there is no terminations for convenience clause in there. There must be a breach of contract.
Okay. And we were just,
Is this the same group that has been providing this service to us in the past?
One of two. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
one of the concerns that I had was I've been led to believe that the owner of this company or the A&P holder, license holder, also manages the airport in Rocky Mount. Is that information correct?
As far as I know, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Sure.
There's a couple things I want to get on the record here. So my concern is he has an employee working here under his license. How is he able to supervise them if he's managing the airport in Rocky Mount?
Sir, I can't. Yes, sir, I can't speak to
That's
that.
all.
That was a concern from the Jetport Advisory Board in their last meeting when they discussed this.
Okay. Well, there's a couple things there that need to be answered. What I'm gonna suggest is that we set this out and let Mr. Frank go back and find out what kind of answers we have before we make a determination on it.
I'd also like to see something more along the lines of the termination.
Now, that was the next thing I was gonna say. We'll get with Mr. Appel a 90-day notice or 60-day notice that everybody can walk away from because we just don't know. I'm very concerned about taking these open-ended contracts on anything, not just at the airport.
Understood.
So,
I would suggest that, I don't disagree with you on any at all, but I do suggest that you speak to him
yeah,
to see what the problem is before you go to jump in and say, hey, trying to make changes in his employment and all that. We need to know what the problem is, and then we can deal with the problem that he has, but not attending meetings and everything. Because he's under a clause in there that just cause. So I just want to make sure we following the right procedure here and not ending up with a lawsuit that we can avoid.
okay. Anything else, Mr. Frank, on this issue?
Not on this issue.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to item number, unless y'all, does any board member have any other discussion on item
Do we
3?
need a motion to table this? Or are we just gonna pull it off the agenda?
I think we just pull it off the agenda,
Yeah.
sir, since it's on a
That's
work
what I was
session.
thinking.
If we were in session and we were expecting to take a vote, then I would say you need
Yeah.
a motion to table. But
Okay.
given the instructions you provided, we'll go back and talk to the operator and work with legal to develop a termination clause as it relates to this.
And run it back by the
The
advisory
operator.
board? Yeah.
Right, and then the board. And then we'll bring it back when all that's completed. He can continue to operate at this point. Without this, we're fine.
So you're gonna bring the report back to us?
Yeah, we'll make the changes. We'll run it by the advisory board. And then once the advisory board's okay with it, then we'll bring it back to the board, the commissioners. for
But when are you gonna
consideration.
speak to him?
We'll try and get that accomplished here in the next week or two. Once we get a redraft of the contract, the agreement, then we'll present the changed agreement to him for his review and discussion related to any concerns we have.
Okay, I'm just curious. I mean, terminate a person.
Yeah, we're going to be fair. We'll be upfront with him related to any changes that we're requesting.
Okay.
Let me suggest this, what I was saying was to hold it open for now, not necessarily to automatically terminate it, so we can investigate.
Well, that's agreeable. That's what I was saying
Yeah.
too. I just wanna make sure I'm understanding.
Okay, anything else for item number 3? If not, I'll move on. Item number 4, Mr. Frank, discuss a request to renew the hangar lease agreement with Global Medical Response.
Yes, sir. So we're also here to request that you consider and approve a contract renewal to base GMR, Global Medical Response, or MedTrans, better known as MedTrans, in our county-owned hangar. MedTrans occupies the helipad at Betsy Johnson and provides rapid air ambulance support to Harnett County and the region. They occupy half of our hangar currently, and they have their own aircraft maintenance on the field during inclement weather. They use our hangar to weather the helicopter. They also purchase Jet A with us regularly to maintain their response capabilities.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Frank?
Consent
Put
agenda.
it on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk. All right, thank you, Mr. Frank.
Sir, thank you.
All right, item number 5, the Economic Development Quarterly Update. Mr. Barrington.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
We're going to do a little 1-2 punch today. We're going to kind of speak to kind of a typical presentation that we would give, just some updates, but then we're going to, Elizabeth and I, we're going to talk to you a little bit more about what we're doing from a business development and marketing perspective, or at least some of the activities that we're engaged in. So the first one I was going to get you guys to look at really is the quarterly report, the quarterly update. Just want to let you know that right now we are working on 18 current projects, or 18 active projects. And the volume of that actually correlates with really our inventory. So over the last year, we have really been able to increase the inventory. We have 6 buildings, 7 sites, and 5 ready sites. Now, the 5 ready sites, 9 months ago, we came and we had 0 ready sites. Today, we have 5. And what we mean when we're saying ready sites, that these are sites that have been environmentally vetted. The phase 1, the geotech borings have been done, the reports have been done, the wetland studies have been completed, and the other due diligence activities have been completed for this. And again, that drives everything we do. That drives our ability to submit for RFIs that we receive. Over the last quarter, we received 33 RFIs. We responded to 14, which equates to a 42.4% submission rate. Last month, we came in with a 33% submission rate. The 2 quarters before, we came in with a 20% submission rate. So again, it all equates and it all works together. Wanted to also let you know on a couple things. One, we had four direct visits over the last quarter with different companies. 2 of those were from EDP&C, and then there were 2 others that were more direct.
that came to the county to look at property and to learn more about what we're doing. We want to thank you for your investment. Our ability to really take down the land where Harnett 95 is located, that's a game changer for Harnett County. It will be the first Class A industrial park in Harnett County, and it's noticed. The folks at the state notice it, et cetera. Couple other things I really wanted to highlight. The Summit, they are looking to start construction of their first building, which will be about 162,000 square feet in January timeframe, with the expected goal of having the first building up a year from now. So we're very excited about that. At this point, they have, excuse me, they have brought in CBRE to help market that property, and we look forward to working with them. I think that's all I wanted to really kind of give you a highlight up from a quarterly update. Now we'll go right back to the larger presentation that we have there related to the business recruitment and attraction. I have the thing. I'm so sorry. There we go. Three significant partners that we leverage from a business development standpoint are really right before you, of the Carolina Core, the Research Triangle Regional Partnership, and the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina. Each of these players provide opportunities to get in front of site selection consultants. Our goal with part of our business development goals, we have three buckets of groups that we want to get in front of: site selection consultants, real estate folks, and end users, companies directly. But again, these entities here help us get in front of our site selection partners themselves. At a recent trip in Dallas, we were able to visit with some companies and site selection consultants who actually brought projects to North Carolina, as well as some site consultants who we're trying to introduce them to North Carolina. We did not put a page in here related to our activity specifically with the realtors themselves, but the realtors are an active part of who we are, and just based on our geography with the Triangle and Fayetteville, we have a lot of realtors, developers, brokers, investors that we communicate regularly with. Did want to highlight a tool that we leverage, and currently we leverage this to help us better understand industry trends, the industry itself, occupational trends, also where we're going from a job standpoint, a wage standpoint, and many different things. One of the things we're getting ready to do is actually increase our subscription to that of a national subscription, and here's why. It will allow us to take advantage of their business recruitment feature of that data tool. Now, we leverage data to inform much of our decision making and where we're going and where we spend our time. This data tool, as an example, what you're going to see in front of you, and we kind of created a high level North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia. We could do just North Carolina, but we wanted to see just from an industry purchases standpoint. What you can see is 55% of all expenditures, industry purchases related to manufacturing, came from outside of these three states. Nearly $63 billion. Our goal is to capture some of these dollars here in Harnett County, and to start targeting some of our direct activities towards companies that will support, and that from a supply chain standpoint, that will support our state, et cetera. Out of that nearly 63, if we were just looking at North Carolina, it would be just over $30 billion itself. Now, manufacturing is a very high level. That doesn't say a lot, except there's manufacturing. So if you want to look at manufacturing as kind of an umbrella, what we want to now do is really drill down a little further in terms of okay, good, that's manufacturing, that's nice, but let's look at the most detailed level that we can of sub-industries within manufacturing and what they're bringing to the county, and how much we leverage from within this region to support our own, or how much we have to bring from outside the area to support our own. What you can see is you can see a list of sub-industries. The list goes down a lot more so than what you can see. But it starts with animal production. Well, for us, if we're looking at Harnett County, this may not be a sub-industry that we want to focus on. However, once we start drilling down, we can start looking at what are the sub-industries that we may want to focus on. As an example, if you look at your the second one, the iron and steel mills and ferroalloy manufacturing as an example, that brings, they're supplying around $4.8 billion worth of material to these 3 states from outside of the 3-state area. Plastic material and resin manufacturing is $3.9 billion. Just as an example. So really, part of our goal is what are those sub-industries that we want to start kind of putting a rifle approach on and start going after them. So this next slide as an example. Now, one of the things that the Stata does is it will highlight different locations whereby we are more competitive from a cost of doing business and from a cost of living perspective. And so we will look at those areas that are more costly to do business, more costly to live, and those industries in which we are going to be focused on that are located there. So if we go back, here is an example, and this is just one location. It's over in the Chicago area. And the subcategory is adhesive manufacturing. Well, we feel like adhesive manufacturing is an area that we could compete for. Now, they only bring in over $500 million a year to these states. We would like to have some of that, and we would like to bring some of that to this area because they have a large supply network. But this just gives you an idea that all of a sudden, just in the Chicago area, here are a few of the companies. They have 27 payroll businesses that fit within this bill itself. The average wage is $112,000 per year. But it gives us a list of companies that we want to start really being proactive and start really drilling down and targeting in terms of companies that we want to bring here. Now, this is just adhesive manufacturing. The reality is, and this is only one market, there are lots of markets related to this, as you can see again within the map. But then if you go to some other subsectors that would fit Harnett County well, we'll be doing the same thing with those as well. So there's a lot of R&D going on into this business development activities. Elizabeth's going to speak to really the rest of what we're doing from a marketing perspective.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. My name is Elizabeth Edwards, and I'm the Marketing Director for Harnett County Economic Development. Today, I'm going to spend some time talking to you about the work that we're doing to attract business and industry to Harnett County, specifically focusing on the tools in which we're using to do that. So the first thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the Economic Development Quarterly. This is a quarterly newsletter communication that our team has put together. We sent the first issue in July of 2023, and that was only to a list of 84 subscribers, and it had an open rate of 65%, and we have just sent our 6th edition this month, and that was to 239 subscribers with a 60% open rate. And just to give you an idea, around 30% is the average open rate for all industries, so we're really happy with the engagement that we've gotten on this newsletter. The goal of this is really to educate folks, whoever wants to be a part of this distribution, on what's going on in Harnett County, specific to economic development, to our growth, and then also opportunities. So I also wanted to mention just a little bit about the information that you can find in this communication. Obviously, we're giving news and updates related to Harnett County, also economic development specific highlights, as well as some of the engagement opportunities. For example, Stephen mentioned our partners. What are we doing with our partners? Really just the why and the how of what we're doing in economic development in Harnett County. And just to let you know, if you've missed some of these editions, you can find all of this information on our website. We have all 6 editions, and our next edition will be going out in January. I also wanted to mention on July 1st of this year, we launched a redesigned website. Our goal with this website was really to focus on, are we being, when you go to a website, sometimes that's the first contact you have with an organization. And are we putting the information out that we want folks to see immediately? Really focusing on 3 website enhancements, and this was really giving our website a clean look and a user-friendly experience. Our folks going to our website is information that we want them to find readily available, and can they find it? Recent news and development, do we have that information on our website? If I want to learn more about Harnett County, is it right there front and center? And then really what sets Harnett County apart? We worked with our web developer and with our team. We put all of the pages out and we said, is this information what we want to show to a user that's come into our site? And we really focused on our competitive advantages and what sets us apart. Because there's many locations in this world, and why Harnett County, we want to be at the top of their list and tell them what really sets us apart. So I mentioned news and why that's so important. So I've shared here, we're sharing Harnett County's story. That's what I do every day. My daughter asked me this morning, Mom, do you love your job? I said, I really do, because I get to share the fun stuff that goes on. And I'm going to share more about some of the fun stuff we're working on. But for me, getting to tell the story of Rooms to Go expanding in Harnett County and just how great that is, and also the partnerships. So Stephen will tell you we have lots of partners. Well, we partnered recently with the I-95, I-40 Crossroads of America Economic Development Alliance to create this new industrial park in Harnett County, which is huge news. And to get to share that, you can find that right on the front website, front page on our website. Blogs is also something we wanted to focus on, and you don't really think about blogs, but it's also a way to educate, inform. As you can see, we had a event just to discuss childcare. Childcare is a huge issue, not only for people trying to find childcare for their children, but it affects the workforce. So we really delved into that and had conversations from the state level, and then also right here in Harnett County about what we're doing. So these are the ways that we're using these tools on our site and getting that information out on what are we doing about it. And then also, thanks to Desiree, we now have a new tool where we can measure broadcast media and its impact. For example, that Rooms to Go press release that I mentioned, this is just some of that data. Now that we can see where we were mentioned, where it was in the news, you can see the total local viewership was nearly 200,000. And then the total local market publicity value, you can see that number there. So folks are seeing us in the news, and they're talking about us, and they're finding those links and sharing on their Facebook pages. And a lot of these folks are going to our website for the first time. So we find that very valuable, and we always appreciate Desiree's partnership. And whenever we send something to her last minute, she's pushing it out, and she's just really helping us get that information out to our citizens and to our local media. So thanks, Desiree. And then again, getting to talk about some of the fun stuff that's going on in our office. We're working on an economic development marketing video. We just wrapped up filming. We're doing a few last-minute filming things just to really make the video all that we want it to be. It's going to be a high-level marketing video, really showcasing the scenic beauty of Harnett County. And we really want site selectors and company executives to look at that and say, wow, we really need to learn more about Harnett County and why we should be there. And then I also wanted to mention that we're working on some new marketing materials. And then as Stephen mentioned, that data is really going to drive some of our targeting marketing. So for example, LinkedIn, we can look at those folks that we know are in that industry that may be interested in coming to North Carolina, and we can target those types of executives on that professional social network. And then I'll just leave you with this slide. Hopefully you all know where we're located, how you can get in touch with us, stay engaged. We really want to make sure that you're up to date on what we're doing. And if you ever have anything that we can do for you, please let us know. And again, thank you for your time today. And if you need anything, please reach out.
You have any questions?
Sir,
You guys have any questions?
questions for
I
staff?
do. I do. First of all, I want to say, give you a compliment. I see and I feel that we are moving in the right direction. as far as trying to recruit industry in this county. Doesn't make sense to me. All the surrounding county has industry, and Hunter County have very few. I'm not saying we don't have some, we do have very few. But for the first time, I've been sitting here, 16 years? And I finally see some improvement on that. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, job training. Do we have that in our plan is to let them know exactly how we're going to be providing training for industry and new employees that come to this county? So that's going to be very important.
So that's an excellent question. And so what we do not do training directly
Oh, no, I'm not
ourselves,
saying
but we
the
have
training.
excellent partnerships where we are constantly working with the K-12 and the CTE group, the community college system. We're constantly touting and working with Campbell University's engineering program and pulling in all the resources from NC Works, the system, the division of Workforce Solutions with NC Commerce as well. We are definitely pulling in the different folks to be able to provide customized training to industry and to individuals as well. Yes, ma'am. It's very
Well,
important to us.
It sounds good, because whatever we recruit, whatever companies we recruit here, we got to have a ready-made workforce.
So it's very interesting also, in two of the visits that came over the last quarter, we had folks from the community college at the table with us who were touting because they were looking for immediate talent needs and customized training opportunities. We had them at the table who were talking about some of the solutions they can provide to the companies directly at that point. We absolutely believe that's part of our game plan, and they're part of our team.
Well, thank you. I already assumed that, but I'm going to hear you speak it publicly.
Yes, ma'am.
That we do work hard here in Hunter County to provide and have a ready-made workforce, so these companies won't have any need to think about the training. Because Central Carolina and other things that the commissioners now have done to put things in place so we can have this is very important in our recruitment of jobs here.
And the reality is, there are folks from other communities outside of Harnett County, Lee, and Chatham who actually come into the county to work. And so within our region, we have 6 community colleges that we rely on to be able to really train and upskill the individuals to be able to work here as well. So we tout 6 different, although CCCC is right here local, there's 6 different ones in our region that we constantly tout as part of that make up our region.
I know you got it, Stephen, but we need to try to promote that too.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All righty. We'll move on to item number 6, discuss a request to approve a memorandum of understanding with the I-95, I-40 Crossroads of America Economic Development Alliance. Mr. Appel.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. As a follow-up to that presentation, as Elizabeth mentioned, the partnership with the I-95, I-40 Alliance, Crossroads of America Economic Development Alliance. So, as you're aware, there's a purchase of 65-plus acres of property to establish an industrial park, a little over 13 acres bought by Samet, and the remaining 50 or so acres was bought by the county. So, as part of the partnership, the Alliance has agreed to fund 50% of the purchase price of that property along with closing costs. So, which that total is a little over $1.4 million. And so this MOU lays out their commitment to provide that funding and then how repayment would work. So again, they're going to give us that little over $1.4 million. The reimbursement will work as they will get they will get reimbursed first. So any net proceeds of the sale of those 50 plus acres, it will go to them first, and then the county will recoup the cost second. Now, as you're aware, there is a option of purchase agreement with Samet. So the idea is that Samet, over the course of the next 8 years, would purchase all those 50 acres, hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully the first 13 acres goes well. And so the idea would be hopefully to purchase all 50 acres at once. But they do have 8 years to take it all down. So again, feel good that we will get the full reimbursement. However, with that being said, if the market did fall out, if it wasn't successful, we do have in there that the county would not be obligated to pay back Alliance's portion if we fall short of net proceeds. So the county and Alliance would take a loss on that if that were to happen by some chance. Exception to that is, again, we have this option to purchase. So if the option to purchase falls through and the county looks at other ways of getting rid of their property, again, we could sell it to another company after those 8 years. And there's, I guess, an off chance, and talking with Stephen, this is not an ideal situation, but I guess it could come up in which the county could donate any portion of that land for economic development purposes. But again, those would be very rare situations. If we did happen to do that in this agreement, is we would pay Alliance back. We would reimburse them for that cost. So they're perfectly fine if the market falls out and there's not enough net proceeds, but they did want to be paid back if the county by some chance did donate that land. But again, the idea is to sell this land to Samet or to some other company. In return for this, the Alliance, either individually or with us or any other partner, to market this property to try to sell this as quickly as possible. Again, as you're aware, we do have a lease agreement with Samet if they are unable to sell that building upon completion. So the idea is we want to make sure that that building gets sold or leased out by another company, and then subsequently any other shell building after that. So Alliance will partner with us in trying to market this property and to sell it. But overall, that's what the MOU says, but of course, I'm open to any questions.
Questions from Mr. Peck? Okay. What's the pleasure of the board? Put it on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. Appel.
Sir.
Okay, item number 7, discuss a request to approve a resolution to expend opioid settlement funds. Mr. Appel, you're still up.
Yes, sir. Actually, I have 2 funding requests using settlement dollars that have come out of the opioid task force. We just recently met as a whole group to present two requests, both of which passed the opioid task force. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Recovery Alive housing. So this funding request comes from Recovery Alive Incorporated, a nonprofit agency that operates 3 homes currently in Johnston County. Coley and I and some others had the pleasure of visiting 2 of the 3 homes, and were very impressed by the operations of the house, the cleanliness, the way they're operating. And what it is it's a recovery housing for those with substance use issues. And it's a home that can house up to 6 individuals at a time. They all live there. They all, the requirements are they have to get a job. They have to be in some kind of treatment, whether on medication or in counseling service or whatever. They have to be going through a recovery process. If they were to fail, they are removed from the house to protect the other individuals in that recovery home. But again, we sat down with their director, Tisha Temple, had tons of questions. She was able to answer for us, and very impressed. So what they're requesting is a one-time funding of up to $20,000 to establish a home in Harnett County. And then on top of that, $15,000 for a part-time peer support worker position to help establish that recovery home. That peer support worker is also in recovery and stays in the home. So they're responsible for getting it set up while also going through their own recovery. So the total funding request from them is $35,000 one-time cost, non-recurring, because again, the idea is these individuals have to get a job and they have to pay rent. So it's supposed to be a self-sufficient. If you ever heard of Oxford House, which is kind of a national thing, it's very similar structure to an Oxford House. They work the same way. Now, as part of this and talking with Tisha Temple is if approved and this funding's approved, they would look for a home. But at the end of the day, the county has final say-so on the location to make sure we're satisfied because we're using settlement dollars. So we'd be part of the search. We would look around the county. Potential landing spot could be the Dunn area just because job opportunities or treatment centers, medication-assisted treatment centers are in Dunn, walkability and so on. But with that being said, is obviously if it were to go into any of our municipalities, this home, we would want buy-in from the municipality. So this is not to say, if we approve this funding, that it's automatically going there. We would work with whoever it is to make sure everyone's satisfied. The other thing about Dunn too is they actually do have some other recovery homes. I believe they actually do have an Oxford House over there. But the need for the county right now is we need a woman's house. There's not housing for women. I know in the program in the jail, when they're trying to find housing as they're coming out, they're having to find places outside this county because there's just nothing here for individuals to get into recovery and get better. So that's it in a nutshell on there. Again, $35,000 total. Now, in the packet, I did not present a resolution in there. I was working with NCACC on making sure I put everything in there correctly, and unfortunately could not get back before the packet went out. So if approved by the board on this funding, I would just ask for it to be a separate item to approve the resolution for the Recovery Alive. There's a second funding proposal, but before I move on to that one, I want to know if there's any questions regarding this particular funding request. And I will say the opioid task force unanimously voted to approve this, so they all approved this Recovery Alive house.
One-time fund,
One-time funding, not
What
to exceed
happens?
$35,000.
what happens after that?
So again, their model is built on self-funding. They do have the organization that works out of Johnson County. It is a larger, Recovery Alive is actually a larger entity, but the branch Recovery Alive Inc. in North Carolina is in Johnson County. So they do have some support if things, they get also other pots of money to help fund their programming. But if the $20,000 was not enough, they have to look elsewhere for funding. I guess they could come back to us and ask, but there's no automatic. All we're doing for settlement funds is you get $20,000 for the home and $15,000 for the peer support worker, and that's it. Open the home and you're on your own at that point.
Well, I'm just, I've been working with you guys since the very beginning of us receiving this money, the $11.5 million. And we all know that money is just gonna go just so far. But in order for us to move this program with opioids and giving people help, we're gonna have to have some kind of housing set up for those that can afford it.
Correct.
And as I'm saying, I'm the only one speaking up here, but if there's some kind of job training there where they're gonna help provide some of the expense there, then it's not a total wash. I think that we have to do something. We can't continue to keep meeting and not putting some plans in place for this to move forward. Because I think that's basically what the money was for us to come together and put a plan for those that are having problems with opioid to get some help. So I see it as a great thing.
Right.
And housing, having a house or whatever is important. I don't want to take up all the time, but since I've been sitting here for the last 8 years, I've been looking for some reason for us to have some affordable homes in this county. Well, that's not moving, and I don't think it will move. But at least this right here is going in the right direction to help someone that is really in need in this county.
Yes, ma'am. As one piece of the puzzle, as we all know, part of recovery, it's multifaceted. So
Yeah.
housing is always a big issue because you're not
Yeah.
going to recover if you're homeless or going back to the same place that you were using before. So housing is important. Jobs is another way to support recovery. Now, their model is built on they help assist them find a job locally and someplace that they can get to. Now, if it's a little further away, I know we're working with Hearts for potential solutions to provide some transportation, whether it be the court date, DSS, job. We are exploring those issues. So yes, there are many things that need to be done, but of course, this is the start. We need the housing, we know that, and as we work to fulfill the plan, we're try to add these other pieces that we so need.
Well, I think you're going in the right direction. I'm wanting to tell you if you're not.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I don't want to see us waste government funds nor our funds.
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody in this world needs help sometime.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
This is a start for it. And it's a start for us to see some product of what we are meeting. We meeting and keep meeting and meeting. I got to give Coley and you and all the other members of the task force kudos, because I feel that we are moving and we're doing something very positive for Harnett County. So
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. I thank you for your work.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Just for clarification, the funding's coming out of your opioid settlement dollars and not regular tax dollars.
Correct, this is purely opioid settlement dollars, and this is an approved funding strategy using those dollars. So,
Put it on the
I can agree
consent
with
agenda,
that.
madam.
and again, Chairman, I would ask for it to be a separate item just because I didn't present a resolution to you, so if we just do a second item regarding the funding request.
Okay.
So the next one, so like I said, there's a second funding request. And I have Sandhya Gopal here, Senior Director of Government Relations with Alliance, because this is going to be a partnership on this one. But this request came from the North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition out of Durham, and they work in a number of counties. But their proposal is to fund harm reduction outreach worker or workers. They may hire a couple individuals or one, depending on the need. The idea is hire harm reduction outreach workers that would partner with our EMS, with our community paramedics. Thank you, Coley. Sorry. They'll partner with our community paramedics. And essentially what these this worker or workers would do is to provide naloxone education, distribution, overdose prevention and harm reduction education, linkage to care, peer support, and ongoing coalition building. So the idea is this individual would go out into the county and get in contact with those most at risk, a lot of homeless population or others who are actively using. And that's why the proposal was to work closely with the community paramedics, because they come into contact with a lot of the same individuals. And this request, again, to fund this individual and benefits and the materials that they're going to need, the fund request is $115,231.60 annually. And what they're looking for is at least a 3-year commitment on this, because in order to hire a worker or workers, they're not going to be able to do so on a year or less funding. Now, what's happened is Alliance has graciously stepped in to fund year one of this. So that they would put in the $115,000 for the full year of funding. What the Harm Reduction Coalition wanted from us, though, is a commitment from the county is to fund years 2 and 3. So while I'm here before you today is to approve the funding of years 2 and 3 of a 3-year contract to provide these harm reduction workers. The opioid task force did vote to approve it, except for 2 individuals. They had some concerns over a syringe service program, which in the original proposal that was part of this, their harm reduction worker would do syringe services. In talking about this, we wanted to gather more data on that, whether that's something we do. So it was amended to change it as a potential add-on if we requested it sometime in the future. It is not something we're going to do right now. Again, it's purely naloxone education distribution, peer support, and connect them with services and so on. So that is not a part of this program. I just want to make that clear for now. And everyone understands that. North Carolina Harm Reduction Coalition understands that as well. So if there's any questions for me or for Alliance, again, and I want to point out, I really appreciate the partnership we have with Alliance. They've been great. Sandhya has been coming along with Dr. Johnson and many others from Alliance have been participating in our opioid task force and our subcommittee meetings, been very attentive, have answered our questions, have been willing to step in and help us. So I greatly appreciate your help in all of everything that we do. But again, happy to answer any questions, and Sandhya is here also to answer any questions from their end if you have any.
From an administrative point, you want this listed as 2 line items on the agenda?
Yeah, I think it's best to put in 2 separate resolutions. That would be my suggestion.
And both of these will be funded out of the opioid monies?
Correct. This is all opioid settlement dollars. Again, another approved strategy under the national settlement agreement that we have.
Okay. Questions for staff?
All of this is coming from the opioid funding.
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
What happens after the year? I mean,
So-
money's not going to go so far.
Correct. So as you know, we are going to be receiving, the numbers crept up a little bit because we've gotten a little some side settlements here and there. But over the 18 years, approaching 12, $13 million over 18 years, so I don't have the exact figure in me. So yes, the money will eventually run out. However, with the two proposals that we've provided and the money was spent so far, it's not taking up a large portion of it. Like I said, $35,000 for the one time. This is a little bit more expensive in that we're looking at a little over $230,000 over a 2-year period. But again, there are still available funds to fund some bigger programs. I know there are many things, again, we want to do, but this will not eat up, I guess, a huge chunk of that $12 to $13 million we're going to be receiving. Obviously, after 3 years, we'll have to revisit this. This proposal will have plenty of data to collect, see if it's something worth continuing through settlement dollars or some other funding, grant funding. But it at least gives us time to assess this program.
Well, that's a good beginning, because I believe in spending the funding, the opioid funding, in a wise way.
Yes, ma'am.
And this would be a good, wise way to move the program and move it forward. So I'm for it.
Consent agenda? Put it on consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
And separate item, Chairman,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, yes.
Please, both items separately.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, Ms. Honeycutt, financial quarterly update.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners of the Board. Just prior to the meeting, I put at each one of your places a rather large printout. I know it's large, but I apologize. For the first 3 quarters of this fiscal year, I'm just going to talk very, very briefly about it because it is the first quarter of the year. But just some of the highlights I wanted to make is, again, the main box that I had provided for you shows the collection of our ad valorem taxes. That and sales tax are the 2 largest consistent revenue-generating sources in the general fund. For this first quarter, compared this collection to the same period last year, collections are up 29%. There's a lot behind that number. I think last year I had reported to you over two of the quarters that where we had implemented, or the tax department had implemented some new software. We were working back and forth to clean up some records, make sure that reporting was correct. So we've gotten all of that fixed. So, but overall, when you take that into consideration, tax collections are up a little bit over last year, so, or at this same time last quarter. So just to let you know that the collection rate for 23 stood at 99.43%. I do not have the number for 24 yet. We are currently in the end days of our audit for fiscal year 24. I should have a draft of my audited financial statements this week, and I'll start going through those, analyzing that information, just to kind of make sure once we get the information, make sure everything is recorded correctly and properly. I will come back to you along with the audit firm to do an official representation of our financial, and then I will be doing a more in-depth dive as to how the year ended up in more specific areas. But just to let you know that even with our cash, when we look at cash ending September 30th of 2024 versus that of 2023, it was up right around $4 to $5 million. What that represents is our interest income. Our tax collection was up about $3 million for the year. Year over year, but our interest income has continued to, we're trying to invest the county's idle funds, take advantage of the market, and just some preliminary figures to let you know, in 2023, this does not include project interest income, and it does not include our ARPA or our opioid funds, just our general fund, Harnett Utilities, and some of our other special revenue funds. Our interest income was $6.5 million. Compare that to 2024, our interest income was $13.8 million. And taking advantage of that interest rate, our idle funds, we've been able to use that money to continue to fund programs that have been much needed to replace capital that was needed. to take advantage of some of the, well, I think we've had a few storms, we've had trying to recover from the pandemic, and we made sure that a lot of the money that we spent for ARPA and was not continued funding. We were able to use that money wisely and use it for one-time funding, but then allow us to catch up and get ahead of where we needed to be. So that's just kind of a rough number to let you know. Public utilities also, were up from same period last year, and their facility fees, and I know that's very important, but the charges represent about 92% of their revenue. Solid waste, their fees represent 94% of their revenue budget, and their cash was up as well. So just to show that hopefully programs that we put in place, policies and procedures that you have approved, has allowed us to continue to manage our money wisely, set programs in place so that we are always investing. And I've always taken the position that we should not think of it as spending money. We should look at it as investing it, because when you spend money and you spend it wisely and watch that taxpayer dollar, that puts money back in our pocket or allows money to stay in our pocket. So any questions? I know that was a lot. Is everyone awake?
Well, I don't have any questions, but I want to say this. Several years ago, sitting on this board and meeting with you, we decided to put money in different pockets for certain projects that we have in this county. Mm-hmm. And I think that has been a real good valuable plan for us, simply because prior to doing that, we were just taking money and then spending money as we go. And then people have questions about why you're not building schools. Mm-hmm. We need to build schools. The average citizen don't even know how much it costs to build a school. So setting some of that money aside for those kind of projects and capital projects and all, I praise you because you brought it to the board, the previous board then. We looked at it and we analyzed it, and it has been beneficial for the county and its finances. So thank you.
No, thank you, and thank the board, because over the last, since I've been your finance officer, you've listened. You've allowed us to put policies and procedures in place. And so by setting that money aside, what you were talking about for various projects, along with the CIP program and Lisa being able to really focus on our budget, it allows the county to be in a proactive rather than a reactive position. And oftentimes it gives us the benefit of being able to negotiate and use our purchasing power to, make sure we are being more diligent about how we spend our taxpayer dollars. So. But thank you, and I want to thank the staff, the county employees. It takes everyone working together.
Everybody sitting on this bench. It takes us all to understand what's going on with this county and the funding that we are collecting. But one thing I will say, because I was here, we dropped so far down on our fund balance, we were in trouble with the state, and that is the truth. So by making all these good decisions, we're moving forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't have that to worry about no more.
But with all of our growth, we still have a long way to go.
We got a long ways to go, but we're going in the right direction.
Yes, ma'am. Every day's positive. All right, thank you. Any more questions? Well, if you look closer into your packages, they will. This quarterly report is not yet available online, but each month we place online for anyone to be able to review. So that will be online sometime later today. But if you have any questions, just please let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Item number 9, discuss a request to approve an offer to purchase agreement with ABJ Investments LLC to purchase the land of Buffer wastewater treatment plant. Mr. Ward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Harnett Regional Water would like to purchase a little over 11 acres as a buffer around our South Harnett wastewater treatment plant. And the reason this is a priority for us is because development is encroaching on our property there. And we really do need a buffer because that housing development would come right up next to our property line in order to do that. So we've been talking with the developer there, ABJ Investments, for some time and have came to an agreement to purchase that property. It's a little over 11 acres for $350,000 is the negotiated price. Mr. Dwight Snow Esquire has prepared a purchase contract and will handle the closing for us if you so authorize this purchase going forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. As you can see from the map that you were provided, the property is not very wide, but it's about a half mile between Shady Grove Road down to the river that borders our property. So it would cover that entire right flank of the property there, and we'll keep those trees, which will really help as a buffer moving forward.
It looks like they've already cleared right up to the property line.
You're exactly right, that they have. They're moving forward quickly.
Questions for Mr. Ward? Consent agenda? Put it on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Ward. All right, item number 10, discuss and review the proposed 2025 schedule of meetings for the Harnett County Board of Commissioners.
Chairman, I'll take that one. So what you have before you is proposed schedule. One thing we need to note is not on this schedule, but December 10th is when we're currently planning to do the strategic planning retreat. This year we'll be headed into a long session, and so we want to go ahead and meet in December so that we can then, as you see on the schedule, have our legislative luncheon at the beginning of January, so that we'll make sure that we're providing our legislatures representatives the information they need regarding our priorities as we enter into the next session. So even though you don't see it on the schedule, December 10th would be when we would have that retreat. We'll have it here in the building. As you look at the rest of the schedule, it outlines a couple of dates where we have holidays on a Monday, so the meeting is either moved to a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And then the public hearing is scheduled for May 19th. We'll schedule the meeting with the school district once we get a little closer to that date. We'll see what works best for them to present their budget. The other key item that I mentioned is the only meeting that we eliminated was normally we would have a work session in December, the fourth week, and because of the holidays, we removed that. We've done that the last couple of years. Last couple of years, we've done it as a vote prior to that, but we're looking at, since that's been accepted, to go ahead and set the schedule ahead of time, knowing that that date would be, that meeting would be eliminated. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So none of these on here besides, because I see out here on the side that a certain Monday or Tuesday would be a holiday, so
Right.
we bumped them. So like this year, we've had 2 holidays where we've had meetings. So you guys have looked through and
Yes,
covered
we've
that?
looked through the schedule and looked at where there might be a conflict and moved those. The 21st, that's because of Martin Luther King Day. The 2nd, it normally would have been the 1st, moved because of the Labor Day holiday. And then Veterans Day happens to fall when our work session should be on a Tuesday, so we moved the work session to Wednesday.
Outstanding, thank you.
Okay, put it on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Chairman.
All righty, number 11, review applications to serve on boards and committees.
So, excuse me, go ahead. I jumped ahead. My apologies. My apologies.
The request for a removal of an active member on the Community Care Block Grant Committee. I recommend we accept the removal.
Okay, put it on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk.
Who did you recommend?
Ma'am?
Who did you recommend?
Pardon me, no, I didn't recommend anybody. We received a letter from the Community Care Block Grant Committee. There's a member that has been absent, and according to their bylaws in the committee, that member has to at least,
I
have
see that,
25%.
but I thought you
so
said, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No,
I thought you were saying you were recommending someone.
recommending request of the approval, or removal. My apologies.
Okay. Item number 12, I had this added to the agenda, discuss forming a committee for the 175th anniversary of Harnett County. It's coming up in just a couple of years, and wanted to take and, get everybody's opinion on it. What I'm thinking here is that we all put a member on that committee, let that committee form and see what it needs to come up with. But I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on it, see where you were at with it. If we agree to do this, and we can come back the first of the end of the month, next month, and that way everybody have a little time to pick a member to put on there. So, what's the feelings of the board about it? Barbara?
I mean, I go along with the board. I don't see why we, celebrating 175 years. What? I don't know. I don't care. Whatever.
You good? All right. Well, the consensus of the board is to form the committee. So we'll get back together sometime in the next month and appoint members. Each commissioner will appoint one member, and we'll go from there. If you will, set that out, Madam Clerk, about a month, and we'll figure out where to go from there. All right, item number 13, the county manager's report.
Chairman, the first item I have is to request a refund on overpayment of an excise tax. You see in your packet, there's a letter that came from Missy Weeks. Relates to payment that was made to do a recording. They use an incorrect amount in the excise tax of $4,140 when it was remitted. This calculation is incorrect, and only $690 should have been remitted to the New Hanover County Register of Deeds. That should be Harnett County Register of Deeds. Anyway, they made a mistake in requesting repayment of the overage, and we have to conduct a hearing based on this request. And so basically would ask the board if they're okay with it, we could schedule the hearing for the next meeting in November.
Put it on for the next meeting. Put it on for the next meeting, Madam Clerk. Is there anything else from the manager's report?
One more item. This month we put information in. We completed the first quarter and provided you an update regarding our performance management, our critical action, key strategic actions, and critical projects. Our status after the end of the first quarter, we have 24% of our actions pending. 64% are in process, and 12% have been completed by the end of the first quarter. All the business plans are completed. Those business plans focus on our short-term and day-to-day operational, functional results of the department. We continue to update those as time goes on. They're living documents, and we continue to make progress on our important tasks. Last I have.
All right. Anything else for the manager before we move on? Mr. Counselor, do you have a need for a closed session?
Yes, we do.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board go into closed session for the following purpose: consultation with and instructions to the county staff concerning the position to be taken by the county in negotiating a proposed contract for the acquisition of real property. This motion is made pursuant to North Carolina General Statute, Section 143-318.11A5.
Second.
I'm sorry. All right. Motion's been made. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Going to closed session. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it, Madam Clerk. Everybody can get up and go home.